I am Lindsay Saunders. I'm the communications officer for the district. So thank you all so much for joining us. Very excited to have so many people on board. This is an important topic, and so I'm not going to uh, do too much here except to just let you know that if you have questions, I will be monitoring the chat. You can use the chat function to ask a question. If anybody is needed translated captions, I have put the instructions in the chat already on how to access those. And if you have any questions, just feel free to throw them in the chat. And without further ado, I will pass off to Dr. Logan, our assistant superintendent.
Hello, everyone. I am so glad that you are with us today to talk about bullying and drug abuse prevention because it is a big topic in our state and in our country. And I think it's good for all of us to share information and to really understand what Smithville ISD is proactively doing to encourage students to report bullying and also to help students steer clear from drug abuse. And so we are gonna get going, and I think I'm screen sharing Lindsay, but my screen is not moving. Let me stop share really quickly. So sorry, I am technologically challenged at the moment. Let's see this one. Okay, Lindsay, I might need some help. Okay. Okay, there we go. So I am actually going to let the counselors begin today because October is Bullying and Drug Abuse Prevention Month. And so at each of our campuses, we've had different activities that have taken place. And so I'm going to start with Brown Primary and Elementary.
Okay, I know Tori's trying to get connected.
I'm in. Good.
Oh,
Hi,
good.
I'm home with a sick baby, but I'm on my phone. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I had to go home. My baby was sick. Um, so, um, what activities in October have taken place around bullying? Well, for me, I'm the counselor for 3rd through 5th. So my lesson, we've done lessons over the definition of bullying, and then basically discussing, having open conversations about what is mean versus what is rude versus what is bullying.
All right, thank you, Corey. Is Raven on for Brown Primary and the lower grades?
She may not be on quite yet. She was trying to get logged on. She had a situation she's dealing with.
Got it. All right, so we will switch to junior high.
See, I know
Miss Edwards was going to be joining us from a class actually because she was delivering bullying instruction. So she may not be quite set up yet. Is Miss Reese on the call?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
I had to unmute myself. I thought I was waiting for somebody to do that. My name's Miss Reese Fisher now.
So sorry.
That's okay. I'm at the high school counseling, and we use our Tiger Time class periods to do a lot of our lessons on bullying. And we've kind of done the same thing with going through what the definition of bullying is, what's rude and what's just being mean, so the students can kind of understand the difference. We use the Stop It app so that they can report bullying and keep it anonymous. We've had students come in and they report it, face to face, and we do the investigation with that. We identify kids when we see them, basically showing kindness and not being, bullying or mean or rude to other students with little snack card awards, gotcha card type things that we do at the high school. We also did a pledge for Unity Day, which is a day to recognize that we're all against bullying. We signed like a contract where the students all agree to help stand up to bullying, to help, keep it from being on our campus. And we wear orange that day to represent our unity. And that's pretty much what we've done so far.
All right. Thank you very much. Has Ms. Behrens been able to log on, Lindsay?
I don't think so yet. No.
Okay. So I do know that we've been participating as well in Red Ribbon Week activities, right? Where we talk about drug abuse prevention with students, and to make sure that they understand that, we don't take pills if we see them just because they're there. And we don't look at candy if it's not in a wrapper from an actual company, probably not a good idea to take it. But I do want to keep going. I'm going a little bit about how do Smithville ISD investigate bullying? Well, there is a criteria that we follow, every administrator, when we do receive a bullying report. It is from the Texas School Safety Center, where we do a lot of our training, and it has to fit the definition, right? Was it a significant act, or was it a pattern of acts? Was it done through physical contact? Was it through verbal expression, written expressions? Was it on electronic media? Is it physically harming a student or damaging their property? Does it create a reasonable fear of harm? And so in our investigation process, we go through each of those steps to make sure that we're not leaving any stone unturned, but also that we are affording due process if someone does report another student is bullying them, that we're not just assuming you're automatically bullying, right? If it doesn't meet any of the criteria by the legal definition, it's not technically bullying. Does that mean that the code of conduct was not violated? Not necessarily. And so what we have to do is look at our student code of conduct, but then also look at our bullying checklist from the Texas School Safety Center and make a measured decision. And so that's our standardized process in Smithville ISD. So our next piece that we have,
It looks like Raven did get a chance to get on if we want to jump back to her.
oh, sure. Ms. Behrens, thank you for joining us. Can you talk to us a little bit about what the lower grades are doing for bullying prevention and also for Red Ribbon Week?
Oh, hold on.
Okay, I can circle back. That's
Sorry.
fine. All right,
Thank
so
you.
so that we're all clear, what is
progress?
okay. So so that we're clear, the definition of bullying, right, is physically harming student or damaging property, creates a reasonable fear of harm, intimidating the educational environment, materially and substantially disrupting the educational process or the operation of the school, and infringes on the rights of the victim at school. You might have heard David's Law, right, which is regarding cyberbullying. And David's Law means bullying is arising from a pattern of acts of one or more significant act that is done through the use of electronic communication, including text, computers, cameras, email, instant messaging, texts, using social media in all of its various forms, and other internet-based communication, right? Student actions matter in and outside of school, right? Cyberbullying that occurs off school property or outside school sponsored events, if it is interfering with the student's educational opportunities or substantially disrupts the orderly operation of school, that is under the school district's purview. Now, keep in mind, after the age of 10 and up, students are legally responsible for their actions, not just in the code of conduct, but also from the legal standpoint, right? If it is occurring on school property, or to the site of a school-sponsored event, it is under Smithville ISD purview, and this is true for any school district in the state of Texas. Bullying that occurs on publicly or privately owned school buses, that is included as well. And we have been informing students of this information. So it's not a surprise when, you know, we're talking with our middle schoolers and our 5th grade students, right? You're responsible for your actions. And words matter, right? The law authorizes a school to remove a student who is engaging in bullying activity from class and place them in a DAEP or a disciplinary alternative education program. And if it rises to the level of expulsion, then the school district has the authority to do that, right? If it is found that the student was encouraging another child to die by suicide or incite violence against a student or groups or release intimate visual material of a minor, though that is the law. And so what we've have to define too is what is physical harassment, right? It's the unwanted touching, it's messing with another person, it's invasion of a personal space, accidental or on purpose physical contact, such as bumping or brushing up against a person, unwanted affectionate gestures or forcing or coercing sexual or intimate contact, right? All of those things can fall under potential bullying and or harassment. Right. And as we've talked about earlier, it is the law. And so we have to make sure that students understand David's law, right? It can be a Class A misdemeanor for a student after the age of 10 in the state of Texas. And what does harassment potentially look like, right? Discussing inappropriate things of a sexual nature, spreading rumors, suggestive sounds, sexual jokes, initiating inappropriate sexual conversation, insults, name calling, verbal coercion or pressure to date or participate in other activities and behaviors. And so if our students, and we've tried to make sure that our students are aware of the different ways to report these things. One is through our Stop It app. It can be anonymous if the reporter so chooses for us to investigate and let us know what's going on. You can also reach out to a staff member, a coach, a teacher, or administrator. We're here to assist. We're not here to punish for reporting, because we think that the reporting piece is very important, because if we don't know about it, we can't fix it. And so that is one of our proactive measures that we're taking, is open communication. You can email your administrator, you can call your administrator, you can call me. We are here to serve our community. What are the signs when there is substance abuse, right? Especially at secondary school. We don't typically see substance abuse in the lower grades, but it is good that we speak with children about it, right? What are the negative changes in grades, or students skipping class or school? Are they dropping those longtime friends? Loss of interest in usual activities, right? Changing in appearance, changes in behavior, including sleeping and eating habits. We know that when students are engaging in THC and vaping with marijuana, their appetite definitely changes. It's not getting the munchies, it's the actual opposite effect in adolescents and young people, that they get frequent stomach aches and they're nauseous quite a bit. And one of the things that is a challenging conversation is, how do we talk to our children about substance abuse, right? Because we also have social media as a component, right? Have we talked to our students about counterfeit drugs? We know that the fentanyl crisis is fueled by counterfeit drugs. People think that, or children will think that they're buying Adderall or Oxycontin, and they're actually laced with fentanyl, and students are losing their lives because of those actions. And so how do we ask our students, right? Have you heard about this? Is anybody talking about it at school, right? About counterfeit drugs? The other piece is, how do we talk about with students, are people selling prescription drugs that are on the market, but it's only prescribed by a doctor, right? If your child isn't taking medication, then, you know, sometimes we as moms and dads have to go in and kind of look around and say, hey, are we seeing pills in any space, right? And making sure that our students understand that you can become addicted to prescription medication, even if it's prescribed by a doctor. The other piece that we think about is, you know, we take place in Red Ribbon Week, right? And so talking with your students about what they learned from Red Ribbon Week, not just just say no, but about their health and well-being, right? And so one piece that, especially for my generation, who's a little bit older, is all of the emojis, right? Of what students are texting each other and what all of those mean. On the DEA.gov website, they do have common emoji codes for adults so that they understand, you know, when students are being solicited online, what are those emojis that they're using, right? Understanding what meth and heroin and cocaine and cough syrup and marijuana, all the signs for those are. And so I would encourage you to go to that website because it is quite informative. That's DEA.gov. Understanding fentanyl, right? I found this to be like mind-blowing that the DEA has seized more than 80 million pills or 12,000 pounds of fentanyl. It is in Central Texas. We know it is a concern for parents, and that's why we're doing things like today, is to make sure that parents are communicating with their children of, you know, we're not taking pills. We don't pick things up off the playground. We make sure that if you don't know what it is, don't touch it, because even touching fentanyl, you can lose your life, right? So what is interesting from what the DEA is saying is that lab testing indicates 7 out of every 10 pills contain a dose of fentanyl. And so that is quite concerning for me as an educator, but and also for you as parents. And so we want to make sure that we understand and that students understand that drug abuse prevention starts at home and also at school. So I wanted to show you this picture because 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be enough to kill the average American. That's the pencil tip. And that is what's concerning to us on the school side, is we don't always know what comes in and out, right? Because we can't control that. But what we can do is start the conversation of being aware, right? The other pieces, right, that we have to think about is the fake prescription pills, the fake pills. They're made to look like prescription medication, and students and adults, we don't necessarily know the difference because they look so close. And that's what we have to be aware of as well. So, right, education is key. Teen overdose have nearly tripled from 2019 to 2021, right? And 84% of those deaths were caused by fentanyl. We do, as a staff, train for what are the signs of a fentanyl overdose, right? And those are looking for cold and clammy skin, blue skin, small pinpoint pupils, all of those things. Our staff has undergone training on an annual basis to make sure that we are aware. The other piece is we have in all of our nurses' office, the Narcan in the event of a fentanyl overdose. And so that we're taking those proactive measures to make sure that if in the event we do have any issues, that we are prepared. Our nursing staff, they have undergone training. And so not only do we train our regular staff, but we also train our nursing staff. And so that is my presentation for today. Ms. Saunders, do you know if there's any questions in chats?
So far, no, but anyone can submit a question through the chat. You'll just click on the little chat icon and type it in at the bottom of your screen if you have a question. And then did any of the counselors want to add anything else in addition to what was already said, or if Raven wants to tell us about what they're doing with the younger grades? Let me make sure I unmute her.
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry that I missed the first part of this. I had students who needed me. So in the younger grade levels, we are reading books about bullying, having conversations about what that looks like, having the discussion between or about mean versus bullying versus sometimes an accident, because you know, if kids are playing and someone accidentally trips another student, sometimes kids say because they felt that was a mean act. We just have conversations about that so that everyone is able to be on the same page, they hear the same information, and we talk about what they can do if they ever feel like someone is doing anything mean or hurtful to them, or saying anything mean or hurtful, who they can report that information to, and what we can do from there. We also talk about what it kind of looks like in the form of online bullying. So we're having those conversations all the way from pre-K through second grade, and making sure that kids understand the differences and what they can do if they need some assistance.
Great. Thank you so much, Raven. We do have a couple questions. Is there a local SISD have a local policy for bullying?
So we do have in our board policy, the policy supports what came straight from the Texas School Safety Center regarding how we address bullying, how students can report bullying.
And then it's asked, there's another question about what is being done to prevent staff from being involved in cyberbullying. Is there a procedure in place for that?
So one of the things that we do with staff is, one is internet communication between staff and students. That's not a part of our practice. That is our policy and procedure, right? That's why we have rooms. That's why we have our dedicated Smithville ISD accounts, because we recognize too that sometimes, you know, where you can take material and cut and paste and all the things that we don't want our staff participating in that. And so we have our formal channels of communication between staff and students so that that is not an issue.
Thank you. There's another question about what support is offered to victims of bullying in those scenarios where bullying is happening.
So at each campus, we have different supportive measures. Sometimes it's meeting with the counselor on a regular basis. Sometimes it is a schedule change. Sometimes it is making sure that the student has a point person in the hallway. It could be, if you're at secondary, moving a locker. You know, there's different ways that we work with families and students to make sure that they feel safe at school. You know, sometimes I've had where, you know, I've had students that they just need to have that one adult in the building that they're connecting with, and making sure that they have a check-in, check-out kind of situation happening.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about the other counseling services, the online counseling services we have available to us as well?
Oh, absolutely. So in October, in fact, we have partnered with the University of Texas at Austin to provide online counseling services for students and families who may have experienced bullying in the past, or trauma, or are experiencing a mental health crisis. And so those services can be accessed through the counselor. The counselor of the school does have to put in the referral, but then the student and parents are connected with the University of Texas staff who are licensed psychologists and medical doctors from Dell Children's to make sure that that they're getting their needs met, and it is free of charge. So if you have questions about that, please reach out to your school counselor because they can connect you with those services.
There's another question about if there's a particular committee that that is addressing bullying. Is there a bullying committee that's at the school?
So how we address the bullying committee, it goes through the campus site-based team. And so the campus site-based team, they'll be looking at our survey results that we recently sent out and talking about the individual strategies that each campus is going to do to make sure that that bullying measures are in place to stop it, and also to help students, remove those barriers for reporting.
Great. I'm also putting a link to our counseling services page in the chat, which has all of this information as well as other resources that are available to our students. Okay, question about, sorry, I'm going backwards here. Ask in place when staff involved. The difference between, so yes, it's a question about if we do talk about the difference between bullying and harassment, or how do we distinguish between the two. So that goes back to the checklist that we use, which we covered earlier on. I think he just hadn't quite got on yet whenever we were talking about that, but it does go through and through a series of questions, it helps to distinguish between those two things. So I hope that answers that question. Is there a program similar to DARE that used to be back in the day that we're using at Smithville ISD? That's one of the questions.
So DARE was a great program, right? I'm a child of the 80s, so I remember DARE and McGruff the dog. I know that McGruff the dog still is around in Smithville every now and again. I think he came to our enrichment days. But what we'd use is primarily through Red Ribbon Week is about just say no and not taking pills, not doing those things. Up for our work in the shack for the spring, we have some things going before the board this semester, but we will be looking at what are those drug prevention materials that we would like to use to give direct instruction to students.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. A clarification on an earlier question about staff bullying. It says policy and/or procedure in place when staff is involved in cyberbullying online with community. I mean, I think that that's basically the same thing. We would follow our procedures for just like any other behavior or disciplinary, type of thing for staff members, if it's a staff or a teacher. I'm just going back up to make sure I didn't miss anybody. I think we're all caught up unless anybody has other questions they'd like to add. Let's see.
I see. Where can we get the slides? We'll post the slides and the presentation as well so that you can see the slide deck.
Yes, we're recording this session so that we can send it out to all families so that they can review it as well, who didn't get to join with us today in real time. I think we have another question coming in. Thank you, Mr. Alt, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Lindsay, so that we're respectful of people's time, that's all of that we have on this side. So I know that, lunchtime is precious, especially when we're working. So thank you so much for your attendance today. Please let us know if you have any questions, and we will see you at our next Lunch and Learn.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Accurate.
Uh,
So if that's the case, then we follow the Texas Educator Code of Ethics in our employee handbook and follow those procedures, and follow the investigative process that we have in place through HR. All right, Ms. Saunders, I am gonna have to jump off here real quick, but I appreciate everyone's time.
She wants to know what the investigative procedure is.
So that is found in it's by due process, ma'am. It's by the Texas Educator Code of Ethics, and that we're required to investigate and give due process to both sides and each party. So that's how we follow that. Okay, Lindsay, I am gonna
We
have to sign
appreciate
off.
y'all. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us today. Bye, everybody.